Biggie Smalls murder or the police in Las Vegas had anything to do with Tupac or Biggie or whatever, they would have indicted him. They tried. I mean, I think that there was lots of cops trying to pin something on Suge, and it just didn't add up, and they couldn't get him. I think there's some people who would like to see him stay in prison.
You know, that's been brought up a lot. I obviously had to look at it as a possibility, but my feeling is if you're going to have someone killed, you aren't going to want to be sitting 2 feet from them in a car, and especially considering the size of Suge Knight. I mean, he's right there. The way the shooting's going on, I'm surprised he didn't get hit any more than he did. Yeah, that came up, but my personal belief is no, he didn't have anything to do with this.
The June 2001 issue of Rolling Stone stated that Frank Alexander knew why Suge Knight would have had Tupac murdered.
I have never witnessed with my eyes. I can only speak for what I have seen or what I have witnessed with my own eyes. I did not directly say now. One of the things that I read in the Rolling Stone article, me being quoted as saying, I didn't say those things. I stated in my book, Got Your Back, that I saw no reason why anyone would sit in a vehicle or next to anyone that they would put a hit on someone and be sitting next to them with the bullets flying all through the car like it did that night. Suge was a target as well as Tupac was. I stick by that. I said that in my book. Why would I have put in Rolling Stone magazine, or with this detective Poole, as he said I said these things, why would have I told him these things when I didn't even put it in my own book? It would have gone in my book before it would have gone in Rolling Stone magazine. I'm shocked that Rolling Stone magazine would even print something like that without checking secondary source. They could have gotten a hold of me through my publisher. I never said that Suge Knight was one of the shrewdest gangsters. Suge personally never did anything to me. He treated security very well, as I've stated before. There was no beef with anyone in security with Suge Knight, never. I've been interviewed by the FBI. I've been interviewed by, obviously, the Las Vegas homicide detectives, by the LAPD. Why would I have said that Suge had Biggie killed? I was no longer working for Death Row Records. I have no idea why Biggie was killed or who killed Biggie.
Do you have an idea why Tupac was killed?
No, I don't.
I mean, I have never seen any information, and there are lots of rumors, people say lots of things, and I think it's just absolutely absurd that just the notion that someone would say, yeah, I'm going to sit next to him while you open up, an automatic, handgun and fire it and hope it doesn't hit me. It's ludicrous. I don't think it happened that way.
Well, when you die so young, it's hard for other young people to identify with that because it means that they may die young. So their vulnerability is protected by protecting Tupac. If he's dead, I can die. If he's not dead, then that possibility is forestalled. So when people invest in this urban legend that they saw Tupac in Cuba, kicking it with Assata Shakur, or he's on some paradise island, it's a way of protecting their own psyches from the vulnerable recognition that they too will and can die. Furthermore, I think that Tupac is the first candidate for the kind of cultural survival that usually is only accorded to figures like Elvis. Of course, when Charlie Parker died, people immediately went around and said, "Bird lives," and people claim to have seen him in other places. So Tupac by no means is the first, but I think the most extraordinary black example of survival in this post-industrial urban spaces.
Tupac had a special gift. I truly believe it. And I think that part of that gift was the sense of prophecy.
Well, I think he definitely had, what Freud called thanatos, which is this love of death, this death wish and at the same time believing that that was his destiny. He was haunted by his own destiny, addicted to death, so to speak.
He started feeling that he was going to die, and he already had in his mind and set it in his heart that he was going to die at a young age. Tupac never thought he would live to be 30.
Death was always linked to him in his own rhetoric to suffering. So for him, the rhetorical acknowledgement of death was always linked to its acknowledgement as a form of suffering. And why does God allow death and destruction to occur?
His death, he had just lyrically spoke about it a lot in his songs. It was his time. September 13th, 1996 was his time to go, and it was pre-planned. There was nothing that I could have done. No one else could have done anything. Had that been the case, it would have happened. The shooters would have been found out. We would know who killed him. God had it already planned for his life. His mom and I even spoke on that, and I wrote that in my paperback edition of my book, Got Your Back. And she said to me, Frank, baby, there was nothing that you could have done that night. Tupac Shakur's life was planned, and it was going to end September 13th, 1996. You and no one else could have done anything. That brought a lot of peace to my heart right there when she and I finally had the conversation. After 2 years, from the time that he was shot up until, I think it was around June, July of 1998, that she and I spoke. And it relieved a lot of feelings for me to have spoke with her and to have pretty much her blessings that she wasn't upset at me and it wasn't a problem with me. And no one else really matters. It's his mother that mattered to me, and I got her answer. So only God could judge me, and that's the end of that one.
I cannot die with people thinking I'm a rapist or a criminal. I can't leave until this is straight. You know, I'm not suicidal. I can't go until y'all really know what time it is. And then after that, boom, it's all over. And we can see, you know, how this shit fall. But that's how it is. And the reason being is because if I can't live free, if I can't live with the same respect as the next man, I don't want to be here.
Out of shell, feeling empty. Visions of God in the 750. Angels should have touched your forehead so your eyes could see. Slumped down so the slugs miss T. UP, AC, then we wouldn't have this mystery. Still be dropping gems, doing your thing lovely. 9-6 voice, 2000 track ain't the same to me. But I accept what we get for real, thankfully. Imagine now where your mind and your lyrics would be. But that ain't how I envisioned your last ride. Solidified, thugs cried when thug life died. A lot of MCs in their mind try to carry on. But without the backbone, you know they not as strong. Spineless minds, thoughts confined, knew it all along. Some know how you got gone, and yo, they dead wrong. You hear me? Enemies missing you in they songs. Speaking to you, Pac. I know them ears open, all of our hearts coping, your spirit floating. And that ain't how I envisioned your last ride. Can't none take the position from which you claim. Without you, these realest phonies wouldn't have a name. Still picture you rolling, straight up Henny holding, wishing we can see you older. Gray, teaching children more, knowing you had more to say. Hip-hop, pick up the pace, it's time to graduate. Quit specializing in manipulating brothers' fates. On the pave, hands folded, gripping where it aches. Never could I envision that as your last ride. Strolling on red carpets for the motion pictures. Leaving lecture halls in a trance with your mind's thoughts. Promote your words on the stones, recognize the scriptures. At least it's finally relief in all the demons you fought. At least there's finally relief in all the demons you fought. At least there's finally relief in all the demons you fought. But that ain't how I envisioned your last ride. Check it. It just ain't how I envisioned your last ride. I mean, never could I envision that as your last ride. It just ain't how I envisioned your last ride. I mean, never could I envision that as your last ride.